Good morning, Noor. Good morning, Mahmoud.
Good morning.
You're two Palestinians from Lebanon.
Yes.
So I'm a Palestinian refugee in Lebanon over here from Burj Barajna camp.
Mhm.
My colleague Noor.
I'm from Saida actually. I was born and raised in Saida.
Mhm.
I currently moved to Beirut Ashrafi due to the job we have here.
Mhm. Yeah, so you both are working on the UNRWA Refugee Archives project
Yes.
since recently. And
Yes.
we're very grateful that you agreed to share with us some of your personal stories, but also what it means for you to specifically work on this refugee archive project. So maybe we'll start with you, Mahmoud, if you can tell us a little bit about your background, where you're coming from.
Okay, so I'm a third generation over here in Lebanon. My father was born here. His father came from Palestine. And I've been born and raised in Burj Al Barajna camp in Beirut. And I'm tired and drained of being in survival mode for my entire life. So basically, as I was a kid and started to grow up, I was just like any innocent kid living his life. But one day, I came back to school after a weekend, and my friends were discussing about how they went to their village and prayed with their cousins and enjoyed their time. And I was wondering, why don't I have a village? So I went back home and asked my mother. So like I heard my friends saying they go to their villages. Well, like what does that mean? I didn't even know what it means because we live in the city. So she started explaining to me that we don't have a village because our land is occupied and we are refugees over here in Lebanon. And that's when I started like being aware of my presence over here, that I'm like a bit different to others. And then another incident happened at school with our IDs when we took our IDs to school for a project or to take some information. And I had a different one from others. So like children started asking like, what does he have a different ID, and all these gossips and stuff. So I started being even more aware that no, like something's different. And since then, like I've been in a bit of a survival mode, trying to work on myself, trying to get involved with the community because I felt like an outsider. But like my friends were kind enough and we lived our life through our teenage years when we wanted to start working and getting like allowance, pocket money to do stuff. So I went with a friend one time, for example, to apply for like a trivial job, let's say at a restaurant or something. So I went in before him, a day before him, and the other day when he went, so he took a picture of my CV in the garbage and highlighted under my nationality that it's Palestinian. So that's one like it struck me. Now my future is in danger. I've been a good student, like I had good grades, and thankfully I secured a full scholarship to at the Lebanese American University, where I studied civil engineering and graduated as an honors student. And like I graduated from university full of hopes and like I want to change my life, help my parents who have spent their entire savings to their life on my education and to improve our skills and abilities. But then again, like I was unemployed for 3 years. Like I really tried so hard to secure a job, looked everywhere, applied more than I can even count. But it was all like for nothing. So I started to get depressed. Like I was really, really in a bad situation, and even the family, the house environment, like felt it. Like my mom became sad and my father, because I was struggling, like seeing their son being in such a situation. But after like 3 years of searching, finally, I got this job with the UNRWA working on the historic archive. When I first applied to this job, like I thought it, and I got accepted, I thought it was going to be like any job, like a registration job. I didn't even expect that I'd be looking at the historical documents of my ancestors and my friends' ancestors, my neighbors, everyone. So I went to training the first time and they started explaining that we'll be dealing with the historical documents from 1948 through this day, even with the online archive. So we were all, me and my colleagues, excited. First thing we wanted to do was to see our grandparents' documents. And that's when I opened the documents of my grandparents. At first, I thought like it's just a document, like it's in the past. But when I started reading the names of my grandfather, his sons, his daughters, and like I started seeing stories that my grandfather told me when I was a child, like in transactions written on papers. Like when my uncle passed away, he was deleted on death on the documents. When my other uncle traveled, like there's a phrase that says his ration is cancelled for traveling abroad. Like I started getting nostalgic and remembering the stuff like the relation I had with my grandfather. Especially that my grandfather passed away like not long ago. So I took the documents back to my father, to the house, and I shared them with him. He was really excited to see all of them and impressed. And he even asked if there's a document like written with the handwriting of my grandfather, like he wanted to save it as a memory. And at the end of our discussion, like he said, I wish we could have seen these documents like a year ago when grandfather was alive. He would have been so happy to see his brothers and father and everyone, that their information, like how their life progressed, which it's all documented in the archive. So then I was thinking like, my grandfather didn't get this chance. So maybe in this project, we can help others get this chance to see their documents by transferring them like from these physical documents to the online archive, scanning them, preserving them both physically and online in a database. And maybe the refugees can see their documents, see their history, relate more to their families. So like we had several incidents in our team when we opened our documents. Like for example, one of our colleagues, he discovered he had an uncle that passed away in Palestine, like he's never heard of. So he went and asked his parents about it. Like he was sort of shocked, like I've never heard about this story. So the historic archive is like a treasure for Palestinians. Like the emotional aspect of seeing the documents is different. Like it's not just a physical file. Like the old people, like the people who came from Palestine and are still alive today, like they've been struggling and since 1948, like they lost their lands, their houses, their jobs. But whenever the Palestinian issue is raised, like it's always discussing materialistic things, like let's say right of compensation, or they lost a land, so give them a land instead. It's not only about the land, it's about the memories they made there. It's about their childhood. It's about what happened under this tree and that tree. They fell over here, they broke a leg over it. It's all memories of their childhood. And maybe, just maybe these documents might help them connect with their history and their parents.
Thank you.
So that's me. I'm a Palestinian refugee in Lebanon. I'm just like many others in my age, my friends. We have potential and we deserve a chance. We are not just numbers in a system or just under the word like refugees. It's not a stigma. We were born like this, so we need a chance and we deserve better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mahmoud.
Anytime.
Maybe, Noor, you can tell us also a little bit what it means to live in Lebanon as a Palestinian refugee and your experience with your current work and what that means for you and your family.
Okay, so basically when I started this job, it was for me like, okay, this is a stable job. I'm gonna have a stability, financial stability, and that's it. Like you said, registration assistant. We started and it went well at the beginning, definitely. Right at the moment when you told us that we're going to be doing this, and how about you see your family archive and see what's going to bring to your family, the impact of it. And to my surprise, when I first look at them, I just wept out of no reason. I was sharing with him today that I'm trying to scratch my head to wrap my head around why did I cry this much? Like with every document, I just cried more. And the reason is that throughout the years, I've been trying to bury the Palestinian identity within me. Because as far as I know, it has been a burden to me. It wasn't something I want to hold on to it. My dream, and maybe it still is, to actually find a nationality, a country that I say I belong to without feeling that I'm gonna be looked at differently. I'm gonna be treated differently. I'm not gonna be treated with respect even at some point in my life. That I'm denied to see other countries because I am just a Palestinian refugee. I'm not a human being. So at that moment, when I look at the documents, I started remembering my grandfather. I lost him in 2010. And I just, like, the stories he kept telling, the tales, they just rushed in. And the way that he used to say things, and when I saw the documents, that he was at the age of 8 or 9, a worker, like a daily worker. And so he was deprived of his childhood. He had no life of his own. He had to grow up to a man at, like, overnight because of the 1948 conflict. He got married really young, at the age of 11 or 12. He had a daughter at that age. Then he divorced the first wife and he married my grandmother. And he had 6 children. My father, one of them. So, like, when I shared these documents with my family, they were pretty sentimental, definitely. Especially my grandmother, I think she cried over. We talked over the phone because I live here and she's in Saida. But definitely she got really emotional. She started going back about the whole fairy tale. She keeps telling me that we still have a treasure that's hidden inside, I don't know, a hole in the ground back in our village, because we have a lot of lands, and definitely it's one of them. And they have a map, and she still insists that her brother has a map. He hides it from her. So yeah. And she still insists she wants to go back and dig that hole by herself. Yeah, nobody else is allowed to go near there. Honestly, this project, it means to me a lot, to be honest. In a very short period of time, like a couple days, yeah, it started to mean a lot to me, because it brought back the Palestinian identity within me that I've been trying to delete. And the point that Mahmoud mentioned about survival mode, yes, we're always in a survival mode. Every single day of our lives. I'm a female, which in the society, females, they say, like, they don't have that much expectation out of. But in Palestinian societies, male and females are the same. They both have the responsibilities. They both have things to aspire and work for, because they know their families are not going to be there for them anymore. I'm the one right now, I'm supporting my family, not the other way around. I've been working for the past 5 years, continuously, never stopping, because I cannot stop. I have a family and I have a future I need to work for, in order to reach a place where I can feel comfortable and feel confident enough that, yes, I've reached it by my own, nobody's help, and as a Palestinian refugee, above all else, to be honest. So this project is a treasure. It's a national treasure, to be honest. And this project, it's not just a code. It's not just an assignment that I'm assigned to as a registration assistant. It's more than that. It's digging up roots of families. It's bringing back families in members that they have been, like, scattered all over the universe. We have family members in Jordan. We have family members in Canada. We have family members in Denmark. We have family members in USA. We have family members back in Palestine, but we're not that much attached to one another, because each one is living their own lives. Nonetheless, this whole project is actually bringing us together. Like, I think my grandmother talked with her sister back in Jordan, and she was telling her about it. Pretty sure. So I'm really, really, really honored to be working and to be part of this team I'm considering actually my family, my friends and my family. And thank you for having us, and thank you for making this happen.
Thanks so much to you for expressing your feelings and explaining what this project means for you. We hope we can continue this. We'll certainly continue this conversation, and we also hope to involve your families in this and the larger community. So we keep that conversation, that memory, that reflection on the memory, on the feelings that you connect you and your families to the memory going. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
And just as was Noor saying, like this project, like it brings together this Palestinian society, the people with potential. Like it gives us a chance. And like speaking for myself and maybe for most of my colleagues, like for the first time we feel a sense of belonging. Like we have someone we can relate with through our childhood, our past, and currently through our job. So thank you for this chance.
That's so important. Thank you.